This video is about speech when they're nonverbal and then how it comes or doesn't come. Now, I have two children on the spectrum. They're 2 years apart, and one was high function or is high functioning, and the other is nonverbal. So we'll start with the first one. My son did not speak, and he didn't say anything. And at 12 months, that was highly sus for me, very suspicious, because I have an older child, and at 12 months he said things. So I knew that was a red flag for me. But when I asked around, like my mother-in-law and people, they were like, "Oh, you're just worried about nothing. He'll be fine." Yeah, whatever. I didn't listen. And by watching my videos, you'll learn that I'm against the grain. I'm against the grain on everything. I do my own thing. So, I hope you're here for it. He did not speak. I tried everything. I would read books to him, and we would listen to music together. I'd try to sing with him, and I would do all the things. And he would just look at me with this deer in the headlights look, and nothing I did helped. So we tested his hearing. That was fine. We, did some other things, and they're like, yeah, he could use some speech. He should be saying some things, and he's not saying anything. So I put him into public school. They had a program at the time. It was called PPCD, which is like a preschool, early child development, blah, blah, blah. It's still around. And he went into that program, and I shit you not, within a week, he started talking. And not like full sentences, but he said words, and I was like, what? He said a word, and I don't even remember what word it was, but he said something, and I was like, and so he kept going, and the next week, more, and the next week, more, and it was because they knew certain ways to get him to speak. So as he got older, he was behind, because when you first learn speech, you learn words, and then you learn 2 words, and then 3-word sentences, and then 4-word sentences. Well, all these other kids that he was, cognitively he was there, but speech wise, he wasn't there. But he was able to like test in math and in all the things much better, just as well as all the other kids. So they put him in general ed, but he was behind in speech, because you remember these other kids, they started talking at 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old. Well, he didn't start talking until 5, so he was a little bit behind the 8 ball. And so I would try to kind of hurry things up, and so he would say things and they weren't necessarily correct. They sounded very childlike, and he was in 1st grade, 2nd grade, and yet he sounded like a pre-K kid. He sounded much younger. And kids are brutal, man, I'll tell you. So it was tough for him. So as he got older, his speech came. By the time he was in 3rd grade, he was testing out. He was like at a 5th grade level in math and in science. His speech was pretty aligned at the time, but he had a hard time making friends socially. And as he got older, his speech came. By the time he hit 5th grade, he got bullied so bad, I pulled him out. They were not serving him. They wanted to tell me that he was a resource kid, that he needed to be in resource. And I was like, resource? I'm sorry, are we talking about the same child? And they said, well, according to the test, don't get me started on that. According to the test, he's not testing well, and he's well below average. So because of those parameters, the little protocols, he has to be in resource. It's mandatory until he shows us otherwise. All right, whatever. Let's do a 6 weeks run of resource. And they did a 6-week run. They would pull him out, And she would like read stories and do all the things that you do for children that need to slow down. They need a slower pace. They need more one-on-one. And I understand that. I get that. I'm not shaming those kids. But that wasn't my kid. It just wasn't. But this is public school. So we went through the 6 weeks and we came out and she says, well, it's really strange, but somehow when we tested your son, one-on-one, I read the story to him, and children at this age think in two, if this, then that. And your son doesn't think like that. Your son thinks in three. If this, then that. Okay, if this, then that. But before I answer if this, then that, how about this? Did you consider this? What about that? You have to tell me these other things. He thought outside of the damn box. Bam. I told you. And, but when we tested him, he still tested just as low. And I said, okay, well, when did you pull him out of class? When did you test him? Oh, at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock? Yeah. Well, you know what, sweetheart? I don't know if you did any research, but 11 o'clock is when he has science. And that's when they do science lab. And science, if you know my son, is his favorite subject. And so if you pulled him out at 11, I can tell you right now, he didn't want to take your dumb little test. He wanted to be in science lab, doing some science stuff. And he didn't care about your little test. And so he filled in the little bubbles, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, really fast, because he doesn't care about your dumb test. He knows how to read and comprehends. And so that's why he tested so low, because he did Speedy Gonzalez through your test so he can get the hell out and get back to class and get back to science, which is what he loves. Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. She didn't think about it, because it takes a genius. I said no one ever. So, long story short, he speaks fine. This is one of the reasons I pulled him out of school after 5th grade. And I taught him myself. And he's a phenomenal writer. And he speaks. His vocabulary is bigger than mine. He says things and I'm like, what the hell is that? I don't know what that word means. Educate me, son. Because I don't know what it means. He's very brilliant. So hang on, honey. Hang on. Okay? Just because you're in it. You're in the trenches. You are in the woods and you cannot see the trees when you're in the forest. Okay? You just can't see it. So you need to continue on your journey and continue on your trek and persevere and make it through. You will get through the wilderness, okay? And come out on the other side. And as they get older, then you'll see what happens, okay? So I have another child that's nonverbal, and we'll talk about that, I guess, in another video, because this video is already 8 minutes. I hope that helps. Don't let anybody tell you what your kids can and cannot do. And don't ever give up. Don't give up on them. Be their cheerleader. And if it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to, it's okay. It's going to turn out the way it's supposed to turn out. So to me, I grabbed onto my faith and what I believe. And so everything happens for a reason is my mantra. And so I hung on to that. And I still believe it to this day. And now, even down the road, now that they're in their 20s, now I'm like, I see it now. That's where the wisdom comes. So when you're younger, you're in it. You're in the thick of it. I understand. I get it. But for somebody that's on the other side of the bridge, let me tell you, you're in the thick of it. Hang on, babe. Hang on. You got this. And no, you're not crazy, and you're not alone.